So here's the tax script. It's the 5 steps to diffuse the toughest resistance. And I'll use these because someone saying stuff like that is the easiest to resist. And remember, this is starting with you. This is you adopting behaviors, you adopting how you're going to interact so that you cannot resist their resistance. Because just like Robert's up here pushing me around, as long as I don't resist his resistance, it ends up being like, hey, man, I noticed that you're pushing me. Wow, I noticed that you have this vein coming out of your forehead and you're red and you're yelling so loud you're spitting on my face. Wow, help me understand what's going on. No resistance. And what happens is it lowers his resistance eventually versus, what are you doing? Push me. And then everything escalates. So, tax script. First one, it starts with the attitude. Number 1, it starts with you. And the attitude is this. Someone comes up, pushes me, does something horrible. You're ugly. You're not good enough. You'll never make it. I hate your face, whatever it is. Here's your internal attitude. How fascinating. How fascinating. How fascinating. Now, note it's an inside voice. Someone comes up here pushing on me. You are good for nothing. I wish you were not here, not working with me. Can't stand you. And I say, how fascinating, to their face. It's not going to work. Yeah. It's going to work to make them mad. That's going to work. It's kind of like when someone gets mad at you on the freeway or the road and you wave at them. It makes people so angry. No, this is an inside voice. This is the reason why this works. When you are fascinated, resistance can't happen at the same time. What it does is it lowers your own internal resistance. You think, wow, how fascinating. What could be going on that they would say something so rude, so mean, you're ugly. Wow, what's going on that they would think that that's okay? That is so fascinating that they would think that that's appropriate, that they think they're going to get what they want. You're not good enough. Wow, I wonder what I've done that could offend them or to put them in that place where they would think that's the appropriate response. And you're just curious. That curiosity lowers your own resistance, and now you're able to communicate with them and engage with them in different ways so that you can get a different result. Here's one of the clues, is that there needs to be a gap between stimulus and response. There needs to be a gap. It could be take a breath. However you do it, that's the clue here. There needs to be a gap. When there's no gap between stimulus, you're ugly, and the response, what? You react whatever way you react. When there's no gap, what you end up being is stuck. You end up replicating the life you've always had, the problems you've always had, the relationship issues you've always had, the limitations in your career you've always had, the ceiling in your work and your team, people getting promoted around you, and why is it working for you? And I'm going to say a big part of it is there needs to be a gap between when you get stimulated and how you respond. When there's no gap there, it means you're not changing. You're always staying the same. But when there's a gap, when you consider, right? How fascinating. And there's a gap when you can stop and say, what's the best way that I can act and engage with this person right now to get the result that I want? And then you go from there instead of just, boom, fight, flight, or freeze. That'll keep you stuck. Interesting concept here. I get this concept from a movie. It's called The Truth, and it's a lot about neuroscience. If you want to check it out, it's a website that has the movie. It's called thetruthmovie.tv. So fascinating. That's the first step. Second step, state the common vision. State the common vision. Up until this point, you haven't said anything. It's been inside. You're fascinated. You're lowering your own resistance. You're open because you're really curious. And now you're actually going to say something. And what you want to say is what the common vision is. And I would say anytime there is resistance, anytime there's controversy, anytime people are angry or it's a difficult situation, difficult conversation, you want to lead with the vision. What is it that you want out of it? Lead with that. And then if I'm working with you, I want it to be the common vision, because most of the time people don't care what you want. Sorry to break that to you. They don't. In fact, they don't. It's not like they're not thinking bad of you. They're just not thinking about you at all. Sorry to break that to you too. So what's the common vision? What's in it for them? Bert's showing up late. It's Thursday. He's been late 5 times already. You don't even know how that's possible, right? What's going on? So fascinating. Why would this guy risk his job and be late again and again and again? I'm curious what's going on. And then you start, if you start with the vision, it'd be one thing, but what is something that people usually do when there's a problem? What do they start with? They start with the issue, right? And the challenge with that is it comes out as an attack. They hear it as you're bad, which might be right. I'm not saying that you're wrong about that. I'm saying it doesn't work very well because people resist. And then the conversation isn't happening. So if you can start with the vision, what is it? What's the best scenario that you can come up with between you two? And it could just be, hey, Bert, I want the best for you in this job. I want you to be able to be promoted and to move up in this thing and to have a career in this company and to get everything that you want. Any one of those things could work. And remember, separate identity from behavior too, because some people don't get that. It says, Bert, I think you're a great asset to the company, and this behavior of showing up late doesn't work, right? Now maybe you don't think Bert's a great asset. Bert, I think you have the potential of being such a great asset to the company. Be authentic, but say something to support the identity. So state that common vision, and it could just be, I want this to work out for you and me. It could be as simple as that. Now, only then do you have the opportunity to introduce the specific issue. So in the Bert example, Bert, I do want this to work out for you and me. I want to be able to support you, get you to where you want to go. And this behavior doesn't work. You've been late 5 times. Here's the timesheet. Here's the times. Now, what's the challenge? Why would I want to be specific about an issue as opposed to just, Bert, I've heard you were late. What could Bert say? Yep, no, I wasn't. Nope, heard wrong. Not a big deal. Who'd you hear that from? Oh, Sally? Well, she's out to get me. Sally's late too. People will go the 3 Ds when it comes to confrontation. They'll want to deny it. I know I didn't do it. They'll want to dilute it. It's not that bad. Give me a break. Or they'll want to deflect. You're late. Sally's late. Bobby's late. Why are you coming down on me right now? I stay overtime all the time, all those things. What you want to do is bring them back to the issue. Okay, great. No resistance on your part. Bert, I understand that, and what we're talking about right now is that you're late. Here's the times. Be specific. And then you can introduce it with, I'm confused or I'm concerned. I'm confused, I'm concerned. These are the times that you're late. It's a good way to soften it when you introduce the specific issue. I'm concerned or I'm confused when. Now remember, it's a lot better if you can frame it in such a way where you're talking about the behavior and not the person. I'm concerned. You have such great possibilities here, and it looks like you've been checking in late. You've been showing up at this time. Like I'm talking about the action instead of looks like you're being irresponsible. Or it looks like you don't like your job, or you don't think this. It's like those are more attacking. So focus on the behavior. And then here's the most important part. Number 4 is you start with a what or a how question to start a conversation. You really want to start a conversation because up till this point, you're telling him stuff. And remember, he could very well, even though you're doing all this preparation so that you don't get him wrapped up in thinking that it's an attack, he still might think it's an attack. But the best way to re-engage that attacking mind or that shut down mind, the prefrontal cortex, is a question. So ask him a question that it can't be a yes or a no. And I found what or how are great questions for that. And it could sound like this. Help me understand how we can solve this, Bert. Now, when you ask a question and you talk over their answer, what are you telling them? Yeah, I don't really care what you have to say. So you really have to listen. You got to listen to their answer, what they had to say. So how can we solve this, Bert? Now, man, if he says the solution, oh my gosh, payday. Because if you say it, I'm sure you've told him 1,000 times already. He hasn't heard you. But if he says it, the probability of him doing something about it exponentially increases. Exponentially. Now the only problem is you just have to be okay with not being right. Whatever it is, not being right. Because if you go, Bert, I told you that 10 times already. Why would you say that? The reason why we would say something like that is because we want it to be my idea. It's my idea. Can't take my idea, Bert. Okay, you're right. I'm not arguing, but that doesn't work very well. It doesn't work. Let him have the idea because he's going to be more likely to engage in it, and it's going to come from your question. What do you think? Get him to talk. Man, one of the best management techniques I've ever heard in my life is just, what do you think? Every question that you get from your people, well, what do you think? You can be an idiot and be a great manager. Just say, what do you think a lot? And the people that are actually doing the work, that are on the front lines dealing with the problem, they know what to do. Usually they just don't want to put the effort into figuring it out or to take the responsibility of doing the thing because they want you to get in trouble, not them. You're empowering them. What do you think? Well, what do you think? Oh, that's great. Do that. Good idea. Oh, beautiful. Number 5. If the solution isn't discovered at this point, only at this point, do you offer your solution. What's happened is you've re-engaged their mind, so now is the first time they're actually able to hear your solution. With the questions, with digging in, with lowering the resistance, re-engaging through having them think about what could be a solution, how it could work. Now they're like, oh, well, it could be this. And you're like, okay, well, here's what I think. Here's what I want you to do. You just tell them. You don't need too many words. It doesn't need to be that tactful at this point. I wrote a book. It's called Experiment, and it's about the subtle differences in leadership engaging that creates change that profits, like creates the results that you want. Here's a quote from that. Imagine what would make your job, your team, your family exciting for you. Imagine that. Maybe for your job, it's getting that promotion. The question is not, can I get the promotion? But the question is, how can I get that promotion? One questions the possibility, and the latter assumes that the solution is already here, but up till now it's been overlooked. How can I? How can I? It's the most powerful question I've ever come across, and I use it so much. Boss, how can I get a promotion? It assumes that you can. You just got to figure out how. The challenge with, hey, boss, can I have a promotion? What's the easiest answer, the safest answer for anybody in management? No. All right, good conversation, thanks. How can I? They may come up with some crazy criteria, but now at least you have something to shoot for, whereas before you just get no's. Simple question. A better question, you get a better answer. Don't work. Most of what we do, we're unaware of. Most of what you do, you don't know you're doing, just because it's automatic. And it's not like you're bad, it's just that's how we are. If you had to re-figure out how to put on your pants in the morning and how to tie your shoe and how to drive to work, I mean, it would be unpractical. You wouldn't be able to function in life. So that's fine. That automatic behavior is great. And when we automatically treat other people because we know what they're going to do already and we know what they're going to think already, and last time I saw a guy with a beard like Nick, I didn't like him. So I got this feeling about this guy right here. Right? And so I'll look over there and I'll start treating him differently, not with my words, because I'm thinking I'm not going to be mean to the guy, but I unknowingly put this vibe out with my nonverbal communication that he picks up, starts acting weird, I pick up that he's acting weird, and I say, see? I told you! Trouble right there. I created that, though. I made that happen. And so noticing it, awareness of itself can be transformational, especially when you're unaware that how you are a part of the results that you have right now. In fact, it's a beautiful thing, because unless you can say, I'm at least a part of every result I have in my life, you can never say I choose different. I don't remember who said that. That might have been me, but it's probably someone smarter. All I know is it's true.